Hello neighbors, it's Caroline and I am back with a scrapbook process video. I have not scrapbooktober and I am so rusty. However, my daughter got her haircut in October and these photos have been sitting on my scrap desk for that long. Like I literally printed them that evening and cut out the words long and short because I thought the title would be the long and short of it. And the more I stared at it, the more I decided I didn't like it. So as I was gathering supplies just the other day to actually do the layout, this Bella Boulevard paper jumped out at me. I think it says there are so many beautiful reasons to be happy, and I decided that it would be fun to just hand cut out the word beautiful and use that in the title instead. I thought that I would still use the long and short part, but I quickly realized that on an 8.5 by 11 page, it was just too big and I wasn't committed to it at this point at any rate. So I love um, this loopy pink and white paper, and I decide that I want to have a scalloped border. And normally this is something that I would go to my silhouette for and cut out that way, but I decided that there I can hand cut this, I can do this, and I am not dissing the silhouette for all of you who got one for Christmas or Hanukkah or birthday or just because the deals were so amazing this year. Congratulations, you'll absolutely love it. I was literally just being lazy and I thought, for something that's meant to look handmade, I could probably just go crazy and hand make it. And I ended up being really pleased with it. Like when I laid it down, I just thought, that is so perfectly imperfect. I love that. Um, this is the world tour of adhesives on this layout, and I think that I still really do love the score tape. I think that's going to be the go-to adhesive for a lot of big stuff like that. But this Mono Tombow liquid adhesive, I don't even know if that's the right name, I'm just making stuff up now, is not something that I've used a lot of. And I think I only reached for it on this because I felt like I needed that really fine tip that this has. And, I'm not in love. It goes down well, it sticks, it's a little slidey. And I'm always afraid that I'm going to ooze stuff. So there is a little bit of apprehension there, but it worked well for this. I just don't like, I think I like the Scotch quick dry adhesive a little bit better. I just wish that that had the option for a finer tip. So once I get the scalped border laid down, I do like to do this. I've realized now that I do this a lot. I will kind of cover up that seam, not 100%, but just a little bit. I don't know why, but I think it ends up making it look a little bit more polished and um, uh, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but without making it too tidy, it just kind of adds a little piece of finality to it, I guess. The heart background is from the Silhouette store. I decided that I would give this a try because I just love this hairdo. Um, so this is my daughter Molly, and she got her hair cut in October. She came to me and said, I want to get my hair cut really short like a pixie. And I could not get to the phone fast enough to make the appointment to get her hair cut. First of all, when Molly was about 3, she had the most adorable short haircut, and she had really blonde hair back in the day. And no matter how girly we dressed her, people would compliment me on how handsome my son was. And she hated that. And the fact that she managed to get past that enough to decide that she wanted to do it now as an 8th grader, when the pressure to be a conformist and fit in, I'm just amazed by that. So I was just really pleased that she wanted to do this, and she carries it off really well. So she created a Pinterest board, and actually I think she did it on my Pinterest site. I think she has one of her, I don't know if she has a Pinterest of her own, but she did it on mine and gathered all these kind of uh, punk rock hairstyles. And I think it's funny because a lot of them are, and this is why I don't like that adhesive, the whole thing just slipped, just slid away. But a lot of the hairstyles that she pinned had some element of blue or hot pink or green to them that, I wear my hair short, but I do not dye it, especially not blue. Although I will say this, there is part of me that really does want, a nice chunky blue piece in my hair. Like when I am a high school teacher, like I just think that says, listen, I don't know what it says. It probably says you're a pathetic old lady trying to be young. But I think it's fun when done correctly, not home done where it fades really fast or whatever. But I do have dark brown hair, which requires bleaching, and then I would have an issue. So I don't know. Maybe the last, for May, I would do it so that I could grow it out over the summer. I don't know. I'm not actually going to do it. Let's face it. I'm much too conservative that way. Um, so this is the first time I've done this technique by hand. I have done this thing where you've got a background that's open and you add stuff behind it, but pretty typically for this, it's not so detail oriented. Oh my goodness, I'm yawny. But I would, for something like this, typically use the silhouette to then cut out the insides, which would be a lot faster. And I think that if I were to do this exact same layout again right now, I would not do it this way where I go through and trace. I would go to my silhouette and just have the whole thing be done in 5 minutes instead of what seemed like it took hours and hours. Also, hand cutting the word beautiful. I really like the way it looks, but I am not a fussy cutter. And even though that's not detail fussy cut, it did take a long time. And I actually sped that up to 8 times the speed so that you guys wouldn't have to watch all the way through. This is 4 times the speed, so this did take longer, and I probably should cut some out, but every time I try to edit these, I end up really botching things up. So I've kind of committed to speeding things up and not doing a whole lot of cutting things out just because I want to have shorter videos, but the fact of the matter is I've really managed to mess them up in the past, and I've decided that that just frustrates me. So you're gonna have to watch all of this stuff. So this is, if you happen to see the fridge bins video, you'll notice all these pieces of scraps that I'm using are 3.5 by 4 inches, and they're just, this fridge bins is set over to the side, and I'm just going through and picking stuff out from there. I think it's funny because for a really long time, I was watching a whole lot of videos, like process videos, and it seems that most process videos are done by people who subscribe to kit clubs. And I was really being very envious of the kit clubs. Like I just wanted to be a cool kid and get the kits and have the stuff. And to the point where at the end of my student teaching experience in May, I decided that I was going to do this. I was going to get a kit club, and I think it wasn't the end of May, it was the end of April when I thought everything was going to be fine financially, and oh boy was I wrong. Anyway, I subscribed to both Studio Calico and I can't think of the other one. Scrap Happy? I don't that doesn't sound familiar. I can't remember what the other one was, and I apologize. And after like the first month, I was like, this is so exciting. And then the second month came, and I didn't like either of the choices. And when the stuff got there, I just was kind of like, ugh, I should have passed on this month. And then I realized very quickly that I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like. And here's the thing, like I cannot like a product and look at it and go, oh. And when I see somebody else use it, I go, that looks fantastic. But it is not something that I can easily work with. And I know that has to be the case with other people. I know that there are people who are shabby chic lovers who look at Bella Boulevard and go, that's so juvenile. I'm on the other camp. I like the Bella Boulevard and the Echo Parks and the graphic papers. And I look at the shabby chic stuff and I go, it's so fussy, it's so fancy. Mind you, I look at the layouts created with them, and a vast majority, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Some I think go over the top, and I just look at it and I think, it looks like you'd have to dust that. They're lovely. They're not reflective of my lifestyle or my style in general. Okay, so I had this general thought. This is where the photos are going to go, and I think that so originally in October I had cut out the words long and short because the title was going to be the long and short of it. Although the more it sat, the more I realized I didn't like it. So I tried to make that work, and it's just too big. In my hiatus of not doing any scrapbooking, I really was just checked out from the scrapbooking world. I wasn't watching videos. I wasn't reading message boards. I wasn't visiting the blogs with the frequency. This kind of makes me sad because it's the first time that I've kind of stepped away so entirely. but I was really just, it was a crazy time. And one of the things that I was going to say was, and I wasn't shopping much either. And the one thing that I did do, Joann's Fabrics had a Midnight Madness sale, and they had some really good deals, like 50% off a regularly priced item, and um, I can't even remember, something off your entire purchase. I don't know. So I went in, and I think I probably spent about $30, and I actually got a ton of stuff. So I got these Teresa Collins letters that you see here, and then I had little die cuts that were also Teresa Collins, and then some like Polaroid frames, and I think that those were Jelly Bean Soup. I am really not happy with these Teresa Collins letters, and I'm going to tell you why, just so that you're not surprised or going, oh, I love those, I'm going to go get some too. Um, they're not cut all the way through, so whereas these October Afternoon tiny type letters kind of come right off the page, the Teresa Collins letters were coming off in clumps, and you kind of had to rip the letters out. Well, I don't want to rip the letters out, and I don't want to cut them. Like, that's your job as the manufacturer to give me a letter sticker that works nicely. And if I have to wrestle with everything, I'm not going to be happy with it. The other thing is on the black one that I'm not using right now, the letters, and I don't know if this was a printing issue or a cutting issue, but the letters were too far over to the right, so that when you took the square off the page, the very right part of the letter was cut off and not there. So instead of having an N with the 3 lines, the far right line was cut off, and it was just the up and the down. And I was just really aggravated because I thought, I was so excited. I thought, oh, I'll get so much use out of this, and it was a nice bargain. You're getting a lot of letters for what you paid for it, but I don't think I'll really use it at this point because they're too hard to use, and the product isn't nice looking when you're finished with it, and the letters aren't even there, so it's not really readable. So not happy. So I went ahead and adhered the picture of Molly's before picture at the top, and you saw me just put the pop dots under the hearts and put that down. And now I'm going through with the title, and I'm putting that down. So on the far left, I've used a piece of foam adhesive, and then for the rest of it, I'm using score tape that I'm going to put it down with. The Hello Flare is from 2Ps, and boy, I do miss 2Ps. Like, I miss shopping. I know that 2Ps didn't have the greatest selection, but their website to me was the most conducive. Like, I love the selection that a Cherry on Top has, but the website I think is so difficult to navigate that I can't spend very much time before I get frustrated and walk away. I'm not a big scrapbook.com shopper for similar reasons, although there's more to it than that. All right, so this is where I get frustrated because I don't want to cover up the hearts, and I've got those. It says Punk Pixie Adorable, which was a comment that somebody left on the after picture when I posted it to Facebook, and I just thought that was too great a summation of things to not include it on the page. Like, as soon as she wrote it, I was like, that sounds like something that could be a scrapbook title. And in fact, when I had long and short, one of the things was I'm going to ditch that and do the Punk Pixie Adorable, and because that just is so awesome. Although maybe it's good that I didn't, since I can't obviously say it. So those words are too far to the left, and I go to cover this up, and folks, this is not dramatics for the camera. That is something that I actually do in real life. I get so frustrated. So those are my frustration hands, but that's not just for the camera. So I turned off the camera and took a couple of deep breaths and carefully adhered the photo down, and obviously cleaned up my workspace a little bit because it was getting cluttery and too much adhesive backings and stuff. So I've put down some Tim Holtz music washi tape because she's really into music. She is in the band, but she also just loves listening to music. She's never far away. Like, her Instagram, I think, is funny. Her Instagram is nothing but stuff about bands, which I just think does not quite grasp the point of Instagram, but I guess you get to do whatever you want with your social media, right? So I do this trick, except for I've got the adhesive too far in the corner and I can't get the photo corner to seed. So I like the idea, but I'm ditching it because it just doesn't work. Also, like, after I feel like there's a lot of negative space on the top of this, but it does have a pretty strong diagonal flow, and I think having an element up at that point would kind of detract from that. So I'm kind of glad it didn't work, but kind of also not glad. I would have liked to have that little hot pink up there. Studio Calico wood veneer with some burnished stuff on it. Nothing really jumped out at me. And I went through my Pyrex dish of silhouette things that are cut and ready to go. And this is, I think, where my being out of shape gets me the most. Like here, I'm just going to put this one little heart. That's going to be my big embellishment for the page. I am very rusty because that heart did not need to be there. I'm okay with it, but I just like I and it wasn't like I was like, oh, this is great. I got to this point and I'm like, I feel like someone who hasn't exercised in a long time, and then you go back to it and you're only doing like a third of your workout routine before you're going, I'm exhausted. Like I literally, my patience at this point was just pretty much done. So I'm like, I know it needs something. I'm just gonna put a heart down and quit. I need to go have a hot dog. And that's not true. I did go have a hot dog, but it's my exercise analogy. All right, so the journaling blocks, and I think this is funny because I positioned them like to decide if I like where they were, and then I totally don't end up putting these three things where I initially positioned them. So um, anyway, I think it says, no doubt the haircut is the epitome of cool, but what's really cool is an eighth grader um, bucking the fashion norm, something like that. And then it says, go Molly, you rock. And then the last thing says truly. And this is where I never use pens directly on my layout for this reason. So I grab a pen, test the size of it, and make this squiggly scallop circle around it and go, oh my gosh, that looks awful. I could not get to a way to cover that up fast enough. So I went over and I grabbed a circle punch and some pink paper. I don't know why I didn't use the same squiggly, the loopy loop paper that I used for the scallop border, but I got a different kind of scrap paper or pink paper. Got a circle and pried up the word truly. And now in my world tour of adhesives, I'm going to put down the circle with another kind of adhesive. So let's say I have the score tape in two different sizes. I have this scrapbook adhesive. I have the Mono Tombow and the quick dry adhesive, and I used foam tape for a lot of it. So I hit a bunch, and then around this is where my 15 months at Archivers surfaces, and I put some rhinestones around just to make this look a little bit more purposeful instead of the I'm covering up a mistake. So the word truly has pink rhinestones that go around it. So I actually like this as a first attempt back at the table. I don't know how much scrapbooking I'll be doing in the future because things are kind of getting hectic, and I have a big personal goal that I need to deal with. And maybe I'll talk about that on my blog when I post this. So next up, there's some detailed shots, and I want to thank you for stopping by and watching. I hope you all have a happy, prosperous, and creative new year. Thanks so much for visiting. Bye-bye.